I'm Margus Megi. I live in Sweden. My parents are from Estonia. This story is about my personal journey of reconnecting to myself, to my body, to my heart, to my ancestors, to the nature and the spiritual world. And how all this has transformed me as a person and as a doctor. I'm on a spiritual journey. A spiritual part of me wants to be awakened. That's really exciting and scary. So I see also that I'm changing as a doctor. I'm doing it in a different way, and it's very good for me, hopefully for my patients too. I was not happy being a doctor. Too many patients, and some patients were very difficult for me. You know, in general practice, there are many patients with psychosomatic problems like headache, bowel syndromes, anxiety, minor depression, and so on and so on and so on. But I had such a difficulty with some of them. I have a bodily sensation. I want a bodily cure. When I meet a person who really has a life problem, stress-related symptoms of various kinds of fatigue or sleeping disorders, depression and so on, that's not pills that I want to give. It took me a long time to understand that these patients really were my mirrors. I had to change myself. It just didn't work the way I was living. So I started a long, long journey about introspection, about looking into myself and to discover myself again. And this was such a gift for me as being a doctor, because then I started to see the vulnerability in my patients. I could somehow embrace their pain, could see their pain and say, okay, what are your dreams? What would you do if you don't have your pain, your suffering? To empower yourself, to take care of yourself, to take responsibility for your own life. Because there's so much healing in that. Sitting here in this cave, Sun cave, it's like somehow to be in the womb. It's like some kind of remembering. And this remembering is quite difficult for me. It's quite tough. It's connected with so much sadness. And well, it started with my parents having to leave Estonia in the middle of the war and dramatically go by little boat in the night to Finland. And I was in the womb of my mother at that time. And then during the spring, when she was highly pregnant, the Soviets started to bomb the city, and my mother couldn't stay in the shelter. She had to go out. So I was like in the womb with this belly around me, and the bombs like boom, boom. It was like a drum, to being inside a drum. This vibration coming, scary vibration, and my mother also scared. I could feel both of them. I could feel her heart beating. Dun, 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 dun. I was born, and I wanted to get out fast. When I get out, my mother couldn't attach to me. Not very well. She was afraid of me. And after 4 weeks, she went to work again as a doctor, full time. But somehow I felt very abandoned, emotionally. And I guess in some points I was laying alone somewhere outside, out in the backyard or somewhere, and was freezing, hungry. And I got this feeling of anger, sadness, really strong sadness. Nobody's coming. I'm crying, nobody's coming. I feel so alone. And then the feeling of despair. I can't do anything. There's nothing to do anymore. I will die. I will die. I learned not to be afraid of them. I learned to observe with compassion and acceptance. It took a long time, but still. Oh, Margus, now you're very sad while I'm crying. Yeah, I was witnessing myself. So this is the work of opening the heart. It's painful, but it's worth it. It's worth everything. It gave my life quite a new dimension. I'm a spirit in a body. And how to be a spirit in the body and a doctor in the Western medical system. That's not easy. This last 9 years, I think it's now, connection with the movement medicine in UK. It's been very important for me. It's been such good things happened when you start to think about your life, what is important in life, and you dance them. You dance the connection with the ancestor and all that kind. What is happening here now, and what my relationships and the bigger society. What's going to be in the future, what I want, what is important, what is going to unfold. Dance it, dance it. During one of these movement medicine retreats, I met an Estonian woman, Ivy. We became friends. And then when she last summer invited me to make a shamanic drum in Estonia, I just said, yes, I have to go there. I have to go there. In Estonia, of course, I have to do a shamanic drum in Estonia.
We're going to be making a journey to meet our ancestors. And we're going to be walking back and forth between this ordinary reality, if you call it this reality, and the spirit world.
Shamanistic practice is very interesting in that sense too. You go into your subconscious consciously. And a very good tool for doing this is to have a drum. You go into the subconscious or you go up to the spiritual world to connect. This is the connection. And by the drum, it helps you to do this. It also helps me to reconnect to the nature and to the nature myself. So in that, yeah, so it's good to make a drum because of that. It's a tool to get inside myself. And to get inside myself, then I know who I am. If you have the drum, how it's going to affect the world somehow. And it was so beautiful. We had to do the visions to each other. So I made the vision for Ivy. We were working together. And I saw her. There were so many things, but what I remember most was she was like flying the drum like a magic carpet, drumming it sometime. And there was some kind of desert. And when she was passing the desert with a vibration, the drum, she was creating the nature with this drum.
I was beautiful, successful, happy, stressed, unhappy, like a normal life. I wanted to be a manager and then an international manager and so on. But somewhere along the way, I had been having wake-up calls, signals that my body was telling me that I'm somehow not doing right. I was in the hospital and the doctor came to deliver to me the message of what is happening to me, painting me the reality of my future. I have MS, what it is, what are the possible phases of this disease, and what's a very highly possible outcome, that I'm slowly degenerating, my body is slowly giving up life.
It was not shocking to hear her talk about her disease in itself, even if this is a serious disease and in Western point of view is not curable, most probably getting worse. So the prognosis is not extremely good, could be, could not. You never know, you never know. And as a doctor, the knowledge, yes, it was frightening.
It worked, I mean the medicine worked also. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I was getting better and I working with my body, doing yoga, hearing the fearful words of the doctors saying, you know, you cannot stop the medicine, you cannot take less. Or, this is the way you do it, and if you stop, then it will come back. So there's a lot of fear around it. So somehow I started to forget this one injection a day, and it seemed to work for me a little bit. And then I started to somehow, some strength, something coming from inside was saying or telling to me that I have the strength to be without this, or to try to be without this, because I didn't know that there is something else, that there is more to life. And I think that I slowly, over months of times, I slowly started to stop injecting myself.
In this case, I couldn't be a doctor. I couldn't be a doctor because we were friends, and the closeness would not allow this professionalism to come inside, and disconnect us somehow. I had this feeling, and I also felt I had to trust her story and what she was doing. She decided not to go on with the treatment, the medical treatment. And she changed her life. She changed her life completely. She started to do a lot of things that was good for her. And amazingly, when they made a check, MRI check, the changes in the brain were almost gone. And I can't explain how it happened.
They were surprised, yes. And moreover, because I'm not taking any medicine.
Yes.
So so it was quite a surprise.
Mm.
And they were asking, what am I doing, or how is my life, how am I in general? And I said, I'm happy, I'm good, making healthy choices for myself. And as before, a doctor could say to me that, it's not a good idea to stop taking medicine, or I should take something more, or whatever suggestions usually there are. But this was a proof for me, and for them also, to let me be as I am and to make my choices myself.
I met her 3 years after the big change. So all this she has done by herself. So I'm just witnessing this part of her and what she's really been doing for herself. And I'd have to acknowledge her for this. Really, it's a brave moment for her. And I respect her for this, really. And also that she is believing in herself, in her own healing power. And that's a very strong spiritual energy connected to that. And what I believe, and this we share this common idea that we have this ability to heal ourselves if we really believe in it, and we get support and help.
It's very rare to find this kind of support and allowing, holding the space that I can be as I am with my whatever choice, without you projecting your fears on me.
Exactly.
So it's very liberating that I can just rest and be, and ask for support when I want or need it.
That's so important what you say, because as a doctor you have always a fear, you're missing something, you're doing something wrong, then you go and do a lot of things which perhaps is not necessary, and you listen more to yourself than to the patient and what this person really needs. Perhaps he needs just to be listened to.
So it's been my journey that started with my body telling me, you can't go on anymore. You need to you know, there's something more, there's something what's wanting to come out of you, or you know, it's time to listen to your heart, to your soul, knocking on the door, saying, hey, God, there's something more to life. Yeah. So it's been a sacred, blessed journey to find out who am I and what do I really long for. I want to encourage people to go into the shadow parts of the self, to dive deeper, to really have the courage to explore and have interest, you know, what is wanting attention, what is wanting to come out of me, face whatever wants to come, because this freedom after you've gone through all the difficulties, that freedom that comes afterwards, it's priceless.
When Ivy and I was in Taivaskoya, we had an amazing spiritual experience. Standing on the bridge, crossing the river, we both saw a village or a community where we lived together with other people. And we were living in harmony with the nature, connected to the spiritual world, and we had a heart-to-heart communication altogether. And the drums were very important in ceremony. They strengthened and honored this connection. Later this day, we experienced that the village was destroyed. Foreign men were coming and killed us all, burned down the village. Everything was destroyed. It was really a devastating experience. We were filled with sadness, grief, but also anger. That was very hard when it was destroyed. The anger, I felt there was such a sadness in the beginning, but then became the anger. It's unfair. It's unfair. It should be like this. Things like this should be protected. And then the remembering that when we got our drums, they were escaping the destruction. And this was for me so symbolically helpful. Really, there was some kind of a feeling of trust that we will come back. We'll find the drums again and reconnect to that beautiful energy. To us, it has been a reminder of what has happened to various indigenous people historically and now in the world. How the land and the way of living have been under attack by others who want to exploit the nature for their own personal wealth. The destruction of the rainforest in Amazon is a good example of that. And it's also a reminder to all of us to honor and protect the nature and each other. So how can we reconnect to the beat of our hearts and the heart of Mother Earth?